You have probably heard it 1,000 times. You need a solid workflow to be able to edit great images, like this. And you might even have bought a workflow course from your favorite astrophotographer. But that mindset is exactly why your images still look average. Basically, here is what's going on. When editing an image, there are a few steps you must take to complete a successful edit. But you might be thinking, well, in what order do I take them? And by how much do I adjust everything? Do I need to adjust the contrast to -20 or -25? What's going on? And here is where the workflow comes in. ChatGPT came up with this definition as a workflow for Netscape editing. In photo editing, a workflow refers to a structured sequence of steps or processes you follow to take an image from its original unedited state to the final polished result. Basically, a script taking us from point A, the unedited image, to point B, the final result. Imagine it's like driving to your favorite steak restaurant. Point A is your house and point B is the actual restaurant. Everything in between, all the turns and shortcuts you took are the script. You follow that script step by step. Otherwise, you will end up at that shit restaurant you went last year and got salmonella from. Or in our case, with another average image. ChatGPT also said this: a good workflow is repeatable, efficient, and tailored to your style and goals. Especially important for professionals or anyone editing large volume of photos. So let's think about that. It has to be repeatable, has to be efficient, and tailored to your goals. And that's 100% right. The only part I don't agree with is the workflow part. Let me explain. Back to the steakhouse drive example. Imagine you wanted to optimize the time it takes you to get there. So you print a large map of the area and draw the routes you have to take. Mark every turn and everything. And I know what you are thinking. Yes, let's assume Google Maps is not an option. Now, on a chill afternoon, you decide you want steak. So you hop in the car, get your map, follow it, but at some point the road is closed. They are doing roadworks. So you don't know what to do. You try the turn before or the parallel road. You get lost, frustrated, get a bit angry, and you end up going back home with no steak. You probably got the point, right? You follow a workflow that takes you from point A to point B, but something doesn't go as planned and you end up with another average image. But now imagine, instead of printing them up and drawing the route on it, you just memorize the whole area around your house. You know it like the back of your hand, and you can go anywhere around town without needing a map, just because you have been everywhere and seen every different street your town has. This way, if a road is closed, you can just take a different turn and get there as easily. And here is where things get interesting. You probably know the area around your house, right? But when you want to go to your favorite restaurant, you take the same route each time. And that's because it's the most effective one you know in terms of time or traffic. But it's not the only one you know, because this is exactly how editing is supposed to be. Basically, I will just add another word to the phrase editing workflow to make it more accurate. I will name it flexible editing workflow, because this way, one, you can't actually get lost while editing, and two, you can actually express your creativity while editing, which is the most important part. Okay, now you are probably thinking, I want to go to my favorite steakhouse. Wait, sorry. You are probably thinking, I want one of these flexible workflows as well. How do I do that? Here is how I would approach it if I had a workflow and I wanted to transition to a flexible workflow. Step 1, stop using any workflow you have and try to get a better understanding of the software overall. 2, sit back for a minute and think what you actually have to do to edit an image. Basically your process. And spoiler alert, here is my process. Tag and calibrate the images, edit the foreground, blend the sky and foreground and anything else you are dealing with, like hydrogen alpha or something. And with everything blended, edit the image as a whole. Of course, make your own list if you want to do something different with your images. Point 3, get really good at every point in this list. So either if you follow my list or you created yours, just get really good at every point. And if you find that something in the list is a weak point for you, just work on it. For example, you might have come to Netscapes from a deep sky background. So you are a master at editing the sky and stacking and everything sky related. But you have no idea how to edit the foreground, blend the foreground, and then edit the astro landscape to make the image visually appealing. So it's just that, 3 steps. Stop using a very strict script and just understand how your software works in general. Then create a list of everything you need to do to have a successful image edit. And 3, get good at every point on that list. If you want more insights from me, there are 2 links in the description. First one is my newsletter. You get an email from me every Thursday at 12 Eastern European time. And the second is a waitlist for a community I'm working on. I will talk more about it in the future, but my plan is to have a lot of courses and weekly Q&A calls in there. It will 100% have a course on flexible workflows. So if you don't want to miss that, just join the waitlist and you'll get notified before it goes live and get some early bird bonuses as well. Anyway, back to the workflow part. Over time, using this flexible workflow system, you will get a very good understanding of the software you use. Basically like knowing the whole road system instead of just one route to get to the restaurant. And this will unleash your full creativity potential. And you might at some point find that another photographer is using a technique that you have never thought of before. And you want to include that in your workflow. Now, knowing the software, aka having the flexible workflow and not just following a very strict script, you can throw that in there as well. In our analogy, it's like a friend asking you to pick them up on your way to the restaurant. So you just take a detour and then end up at the restaurant anyway. You just added some extra stuff between point A and point B. And also using this flexible workflow approach, at some point, inevitably, you will end up with a workflow of your own. But you will be able to customize it and change things up if needed. There will be parts that are very similar or even the same every time, depending on the software you use. But for each image you edit, you will come up with a different workflow to actually bring that vision you had when you took it into reality. And that's what I call true mastery. That's what I do when I edit my images, and it lets me express 100% of my creativity. So that's something I believe every photographer should aim to achieve. TLDR, don't fall for the workflow trap because it will keep your edits average. Just understand and master your software and edit your images in a more flexible way. So you embrace this new type of a workflow, the flexible workflow, and this way your creativity will thank you.